Please help!
Are we gonna help him?
No.
Hi guys, this is Ginger from Londonsaurus, and today we're going to be talking about The Last of Us Episode 3. The Last of Us Episode 3. The episode is called A Long Time. It's obviously a reference to Linda Ronstadt's song, A Long Time. It's a very, very good episode, very long episode, very, very emotional episode, very, very interesting. I would say one of the best episodes of the whole season 1 first. We get a few flashbacks in regarding Bill and Frank's life and what's important about surviving in this world. We also pick up from Joel and Ellie's situation going forward. But yeah, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. We're going to keep you updated with all the trailers, all the breakdown, all the Easter eggs and similarities with the games too as well. So quickly, we start off at where we left off from last episode. We see an opening with Joel, and Joel obviously is washing his hand in the stream after Tess has died. They're in the forest. Joel and Ellie is trying to really close up, trying to really grieve, and trying really hard not to hate Ellie for what happened, because obviously he still thinks that if him and Tess stayed in that quarantine zone, none of this would have ever happened. And Ellie pulls a boss move on him. She wanted to talk to him. He thought she was going to apologize, but she bossed it out. She said, listen to me, because I'm not trying to apologize. All I'm trying to do is to tell you this shit isn't my fault that Tess died. I love Tess, I liked her, but it isn't my fault, and I'm not going to apologize because you guys only took me on because you wanted a battery, and you made a decision. Because of that battery, it was worth taking me out and getting the battery, so it was a business decision. And actually, Joel really respected her for that. Obviously, he's got nothing to do, and he would have to obviously go with her to be able to get that battery. Obviously, to go and find his brother, take her to Wyoming too as well. But yeah, we quickly cut off. Very, very good episode, as I said, very emotional. This episode gives us a backstory about obviously Tess, Joel, how Joel met Bill and Frank in the beginning too as well. We quickly cut off to Frank. You get a bit of a backstory in regarding Frank too as well. So when they're walking, they're trying to leave the forest, Joe and Ellie. They start walking, and obviously Ellie's trying to joke as usual to be able to have a bit of a nice time when she was walking and traveling with Joel. He's finding it really hard to open up to her, but they come across the forest, a path, and Joel is trying to tell Ellie not to go through there because there's a lot of there's something that he doesn't want her to see. Obviously, it's a graveyard that the military massacred people completely. People that are uninfected, the military, just like they've done to his daughter, just told them that they were being taken to quarantine, but completely shot all of them. All of them are uninfected. There were bones there. So he was telling Ellie, don't go that way. There's something I don't want you to see. You're a kid. You don't need to see this. But as usual, Ellie, annoying. She wants to see everything, and she gets shocked. And he's trying to tell her the story of what happened, and how sad it is. His version of what happened, how people got infected. It's a bit similar too as well. But yeah, tell him he didn't outright tell her that happened to his daughter, but trying to tell her that the military shit really. But yeah, we completely cut off to a bit of a flashback, which is a flashback about Bill and how those people were killed in that graveyard too as well. We see Bill complete survival mode, absolutely ready for anything in his little town. Most of the people that were killed were from his town. He was like one of this conspiracy theorists, was always ready, had a bunker ready, all the guns he can ever have. He was seeing everything that was happening with cameras under his underground house bunker, and he saw the government rounding up everyone, every single thing over his camera. They took all the people away. Obviously, these are the people who see a mother and her daughter too as well, taking them in a truck. We see them spray painting the door of his house that they've checked that there's no more people. They're meant to all take the people away. And after that, obviously, we know what happens to the people. They don't show us how they kill them, but we do know what happens to them. But we see Bill come out, secure the whole area, kind of come out with a mask. We've never seen it with a mask. We've always seen it in the game, obviously, because we've got bloaters that spray for spores in the air. But I think we're going to see them in the future. This episode, for an episode that has not had any of those, it's a good episode. But yeah, we don't see any. But this is the first time we kind of see him with a mask, but he takes it off. I think they don't want to start giving people masks till they kind of show the bloaters doing spraying acid and spewing spores too as well. But yeah, we see him come out, go to the local factory, get supplies, get everything, because then it just started and people. So he completely stocks off from the store and from the local convenience store, from the local petrol station. He goes to turn on the gas because the government obviously shut the gas because they've taken all the people away from the little town. He completely secures the whole area. He makes himself a massive, like a little fortress around the town. We see him eating on his own. Very sad, but at least he's surviving because he's in that mode of survival there for himself. Digging a hole, setting traps, amazing traps. We see one of the walkers, the runners coming into his trap. You can see immediately a shotgun shot him in the head. So he's ready. No one's gonna get into his perimeter. It's very, very secure. We cut back to Joel and Ellie. Joel said he wanted to grab something, which is a normal, a little convenience store that him and Bill and Tess know about, that they kind of keep supplies midway to traveling. So he quickly goes into the convenience store to grab supplies. We see him trying to kind of grab those supplies, and we see Ellie wander off as usual. Wanders off into a basement. I don't know what she was looking for. She's never been there. She just simply wanders off into a basement, trying to look for supplies, trying to be curious, really, to be fair. She wanders into a basement. She finds a bit of supplies there, and she hears kind of sound of one of the infected, and she completely sees. I think it's one of the store owners that have been infected, and the kind of building collapsed on him. So he was in his mid stage of being infected. I think he was in his metamorphosis, becoming from a clicker to like a bloater. But you can see that the mushroom things are growing on his head, but his head is there. I think we see him in the trailer too as well. And he can't talk, he can't do anything. His head is only out. We see Ellie, curious, going to like inspect him, going close to him. And we see the fact that she cuts through his head to see how human they are. And because she's never seen a close-up one, they're strapped and helpless, and he can't do anything, which is quite dangerous, because if he was a bloater, he would have kind of sprayed her with spores or acid. But she goes there, she cuts. We don't see blood. We can only see the fungi in his head that has already taken over. There's no blood. So they're not human. They're nothing. We can just see the kind of white substance in his head, so that the fungi has already taken over. It's just kind of a walking fungi body. And, we always thought Ellie was kind of, she's not as innocent as you think. She completely stabs it in the head, too as well, just to kind of, kill it completely, to be able to get into that savage mode. Yeah. And but after that, we see her come out, and they move on, kind of going to. I think they're meant to normally go to. Joel is meant to take them to Bill's place to be able to kind of get supplies, then take her to Wyoming there, because obviously him and Bill are friends. So we got back to Bill. Bill, one of his traps caught Frank. Literally, Frank got caught in one of his traps. We see him coming over with a gun. Frank caught in a trap, and yeah, he saves Frank. That's how their relationship start. Gives him a bit of clothes. Feeds him too as well. Obviously, Frank is a romantic blessing. In the nicest way. Bill is a survivor. He doesn't need anyone. He doesn't need anyone slowing him down, trying to make it romantic, trying to fall in love with him. But honestly, the whole episode theme is a nice episode in regarding the great life that Bill had when he met Frank. Bill was a survivor. He didn't believe in surviving. He didn't believe in love. He didn't believe in anything. But Frank made the little life that he had worth living. And I think that's the theme of the episode. Grab on in this shitty world, grab on someone you love, protect, and spend as much time as you can with him. So Frank did that for him. Immediately, we see them fall in love with each other, become part of each other. Obviously, he's always stressed out about Frank, because Frank is one of those people that does what his heart tells him. He doesn't care the pandemic. He doesn't know how this starts. He starts planting, inviting people over for dinner, which is Tess and Bill. Joel and Tess inviting them for dinner, planting, vegetables, saying that they're gonna have friends. And Bill's like, "What? Are you crazy? Why would we ever have friends?" And stuff like that. So he becomes a massive part of his life. He protects him. They have this beautiful life in the fortress together. Planting stuff, eating together, having a beautiful life, painting, and inviting Joel and Tess together to be able to have a meal. And we can see the most awkward dinner whereby, Frank invites Tess and Joel, and Bill's just sat down there. They're eating in a little table on the porch, and you can see Bill like pointing a gun at Joel, literally, because he doesn't trust him. But Frank is inviting Tess over into the into the house to show her stuff. It's like a normal like inviting neighbors or new friends. It's a quite intense situation. Yeah. But Frank generally is a nice guy, to be honest. He couldn't care less. I think he knows that he doesn't have long to live in this kind of world. So if he wants to enjoy it with the people. So yeah, they form a kind of relationship. And this when Joe tells him, like, listen, we have what you need. We can be able to be a partnership to help each other. Bill tells him, I don't trust you. You don't have anything I need, but Joe tells him to take the gun off my head and stuff like that. So they get like a kind of friendship. They don't trust each other fully, but a friendship that they help each other out with supplies, etc. But yeah, we see them leave after that. After that, we cut off back to a scene whereby Frank and Bill, were sleeping, and one of immediately we see a lot of raiders, because we do see a lot of raiders. One of the biggest things apart from the infected in this episode is the raiders. We get to see a lot of them, people trying to nick stuff off you, like take what you've got, just like The Walking Dead, and every other supplies have become like gold. People want to take what you've got, your fortress, your supplies. If you've got something good, you see a lot of raiders coming in on Bill's fortress when Bill and Frank were sleeping, and oh my god, Bill's fortress and the traps he laid are absolutely savage. Immediately triggers the alarm. Bill wakes up. It completely roasts because it's like a firehouse thing that sprays fire immediately as soon as someone crosses down, and it shoots you too as well. It electrocutes you. It does everything. There's no way someone can survive that. So we see them like kind of shooting, trying to go through the gate. We see Bill coming out shooting at them too as well. We see Bill get shot. Frank helps him. Takes him back, trying to dress his wound. After that, slowly we tend to find out that Frank has neurological disease that obviously that's what he's gonna die for in the end. And we see them obviously growing old together. I think this happened towards the first episode when Tess when towards the first episode after Joel's daughter died. So that's quite a long time ago after that. And I think after Joel and Tess met them, they didn't come back for a very long time, a few years I would say, before Bill and Frank normally stayed together and fought those invaders. But after that, they kind of deteriorated, you can tell, but in a very happy way, because obviously after Frank got that disease, they decided to get married. They were so in love, and it was uncurable. Even before the pandemic, the diseases he had was incurable. So he literally Frank told Bill that this is my last day. That after this, I want you to put a bit of what's it called, some drugs into his wine so he can be able to die in peace. And obviously, we see Bill very, very upset every time. It seems like Frank is Bill's as much as Bill is very, very hard man and stuff. He tends to crumble sometimes and tends to kind of cry off. And Frank, as much as he's a giddy person, lost in his head, kind of like go with the wind person, he tends to be Bill's kind of rock. Every time Bill crumbles, and we see Bill crumbling, that, what if we find a doctor? You don't have to do this. It's like, well, doctor, there's no cure. Even when the world was good, do you think a door-to-door doctor is going to come to help us? So he kind of makes a decision to have a nice dinner and kind of end it there, drink that wine with that poison in and take him to bed to sleep together. And there too as well, Bill dies with him in that bed. They write a very, very emotional letter to Joel, and Tess and keep it on the table because obviously Joel is the only one that has the code. So obviously when they die together, which they do in the bed, um, when Joel comes for supplies, he can be able to kind of see because he's the only one that can successfully go through the gate, enter the room, and be able to get that, which is exactly what Joel did. Towards that, loads of references to the game. Honestly, loads of references. We see so many Easter eggs from the game. Normally, Joel and Ellie meant to use in the game a bit of similarity because normally Joel and Ellie are meant to use in the game. They are meant to use the abandoned subway to be able to get to Bill and Frank's, but they changed it in the episodes because they just used the forest towards that and explained a few things too as well. And also, Ellie has her official backpack from the game with the monster keychain too as well. That's also an Easter egg to the game too as well. Even the lighter that Tess died with, that she was lighting before she got transformed too as well, was from the game too as well. So yeah, a few Easter eggs too as well that were used there, and also in that shop that they went for supplies, Ellie and Joel. We see Ellie quickly go to an arcade. It's a Mortal Kombat arcade that she goes to, and it's from the game too as well. We can see that. So yeah, a few Easter eggs from the game too as well. But yeah, after that happens with Joel, after that happens with Bill and Frank, we see Joel and Ellie uh, go towards get into the house, past the gate too as well, go into it's an abandoned. You can see that it's been a few years, about a year or so that has happened, or a few months after they've died in the room, and we can see Ellie on the dining table reading that emotional letter that Bill and Ted left for that Bill and Frank left for Joel, saying that, hey Joel, I've always respected you. We've never been very close, but you've been my friend. I've always respected you. Things have changed. I've always hated the world, and I've always thought there was nothing in it for me, but I met Frank, and he's worth protecting, in reference to explaining to Joel that, Ellie or Tess is one of that person. You don't need to live that life on your own. You don't need to hate anyone. You need to find that one person still. For Joel, obviously, because Tess is dead, that's how he would think about Ellie now. She's that one person that he would have to protect and, take care of her. So this is actually a realization after that letter for Joel to kind of find out how relevant, and Ellie is the only person he's got now, and he's trying to be able to kind of open up a bit, to be able to kind of enjoy the journey and protect her properly, because nobody has any kind of time left. We also keep hearing that Ron Said song, just beautifully playing in the background too as well. A massive tone setter for the whole episode, which is quite good too as well. But yeah, she keeps on reading the letter. Joel already warned Ellie that she should never ever say Tess's name again. So when she was reading the letter at the end, it says, make sure you find that one person and make sure you use my guns and all my supplies to protect Tess, because they didn't know that Tess wasn't dead. And she just paused because she couldn't say Tess's name, and he took the letter, he read it. Honestly, it was so sad. You could see the sadness in his face. He completely left. He went to the garage. He saw a in mint condition battery just ready to go, and the car too as well, ready for them. Everything's going forward. And he literally asked Ellie, can I see your hand? And he literally confirmed to himself that this girl's the real deal. I need to protect her. She's the one I need to protect now, to be able to, after that letter too as well that he heard from Bill, the most paranoid person too as well. If that person can change, maybe he can change too as well. So yeah, they grabbed all the supplies. I mean, he has a massive supply of guns. Honestly, this guy is ready for any fucking thing, even alien invasion. I think Bill was ready for that. But they pack so much guns, get on the van, get in the van too as well. As they were going in the van, Ellie has never been in the van. She's excited as usual. Joe slowly, you can see, slowly starting to open up. She gets a playlist that, Frank made for Bill. With obviously that playlist of A Long, Long Time by Ronstead, Linda Ronstead. And he was asking her, do you know who Ronstead is? And she was like, no, but it's better than nothing. And you can see them smiling, he's starting to open up, starting to enjoy, Ellie's Ellie's he's starting to enjoy Ellie's company, and starting to open up a bit and starting to find out that he has nothing but her. But he tells her, I'm going to Wyoming to be able to find my brother. My brother's a firefly. And we see in the trailer too as well that he does, we see his brother in the trailer in Wyoming, kind of snowy part too as well. So, and she said, fine, we'll go together and my brother can be able to find someone that can take you as a scientist. And yeah, he agrees to it. Again, very, very good episode. Fantastic episode. Honestly, for an episode that doesn't have any of the walkers or the bloaters or the clickers, they did a very, very good job. It sets a tone, gives us a very good backstory. Honestly, I think it's one of the best episodes ever. But next, it's going to be a very, very heavy episode, next episode too as well. So we're going to bring that straight to yourself. As I said, click like and subscribe. Please click that notification bell to get, it would really, really help us. We'll drop a trailer for you every week too as well to help you. If there's anything you want us to cover that we haven't covered, like and subscribe in the comment. Tell us. We're going to do that for yourself. Thank you.